All right, so y'all might see some of the lighting in the background. We're not getting the most beautiful one right now, but there's a lot of beautiful ones around here. Some of y'all might not think lighting is beautiful. It is. It really is. Um, I got some pictures here. I found I was able to get a printer a while back, and it's going to take me good 4 or 5 months of careful budgeting so that I can keep myself fed and buy a little bit at a time of what it is that I need to be able to defend myself. The computer, this computer here was a good start. I bought this computer because the police in Natalie's case never returned mine. They were supposed to. They were supposed to return it the next day. Part of the reason I was asked to go to Boulder. No, he just wanted me out of jurisdiction. Because even while I was there, I was trying to turn in these people who had been doing these things to me for over a year. This is the night after I found out that Natalie had disappeared. Now, I've been fearing this phone call for over a year. And this is a good start. This is to help y'all identify the actual predators. Now, here's their labels. Suspect. This man is Joseph Michael Lopez, a Domino's pizza delivery boy. I can't look at Domino's and not feel sick. Shannon Alvarado always ordered Domino's. Right here it says stalker. But you know I didn't get to go to court for that? Did you know I didn't have the money to go to court for that? Did you know I didn't have any help for an entire year before that to try to actually get a court date? I needed help. I didn't know how to do any of these things that Natalie got help with and already knew how to do. She already knew how to take screenshots. I didn't find out how to take screenshots on my telephone until after Natalie was dead. When I was leaving Candace, as a matter of fact, I didn't learn how to take screenshots on a computer until Katie Cahill in November of 2018. December of 2018. Natalie had been dead for over a year by that point. But she's very pretty, right? People keep telling me how pretty she was. She was fucking wonderful, you goddamn motherfuckers. You got no idea. In real life, she was great. But her family pressure, fuck, I understand that. I don't mean physically. I mean, I broke free of my oppressors. I broke free of my family and their circle of abuse and their cycle of abuse. With Natalie, I took abuse from her actual predators who thought that by being like that they could get Natalie to love them the way that they wanted. It took me a while to explain to Natalie, to get her to understand, trying to be as subtle as I could, let her know, yeah, I'm not here to date you. I'm your friend. Your friend. And that's in our messages. Anybody who looks at those, I mean, fucking seriously, if you go out of your way, when you walk into a situation, go, no matter what, this is the person who's the victim and this person is the predator. And then you go through and you read it all and you find out that it's not the truth. But if you don't read it all, maybe you only get your eye on the parts that reinforce whatever it is that you want to believe. And if there's something that you can take out of context in order to reinforce that belief, that's what you do. It means that you're ignoring most of it. And a lot of people saw the rest of it. And they were so hell-bent on trying to destroy it so nobody else could see it. This is the kind of hate that I had to deal with and still do. Just with Michael Lopez, Sean Schwartz, Natalie Bollinger. There are two predators in that picture, and I am not one of them. What Natalie did, I understand she was doing it because she didn't want to get in trouble, because she was embarrassed, because she wanted her family to love her. That doesn't make it any less monstrous. Not from her or Alicia. The officer in Arapahoe County who was the most heavily involved. This is Officer McRae. She's pretty short. She's pretty like Natalie. Alright, she's not as pretty as Natalie. But most of the inmates had a crush on her, and they'd do bad stuff to you. You spoke out. A lot of those inmates, they still spoke out. Hey, McRae, you gotta fucking knock that shit off. I got black folks in jail telling the pretty white guards that they have a crush on inmates, telling the guards to leave me the fuck alone. Holy shit. This is a picture of me in court after being assaulted by Waylon Lolotai. That's me. That's my packet of some of the evidence that I was allowed to have, but wasn't allowed to show. Of course, my public pretender didn't give a shit. My wrist is wrapped because it's still fucked up. It was still fucked up while I was at Kansas. I had to try to write with my wrist fucked up, and because Rochelle Shelley Campbell was asking me to, I did my fucking best. This right here, this is Kayla Trujillo, aka Peaches. I'd gone to her for help repeatedly. When I talk about parents who have to sell stuff to make enough money to live, despite the fact that they got a full-time job or 2 full-time jobs, you know, these people are doing this out of desperation. They don't want their kids taken away from the state. They're breaking the law out of desperation because there is no way in hell that they can afford the cost that America expects from its citizens, especially its poorest citizens. Me and Peaches are not on speaking terms in all this, but she was a victim as well. This is Rochelle Shelley Campbell. This picture is taken from the news. And as a result, no, I didn't get it from stalking her profile. This is actually from a YouTube video of a news clipping. And y'all realize what this woman was doing, and her friend, Kara Johnson Miles, especially after the video there where you got to see in Natalie's own words, or got to hear. You can go to Natalie's page, type Natalie Marie in Facebook. You can find her. It's a memorial page. Now there's a Facebook group Katie Cahill gave me. It's called The Real Justice for Natalie Bollinger, No Drama. And as soon as I joined it, her family got on there and started nothing but drama, wanted to shame people for listening to me. Them and their friends, which I have screenshots that prove that these people are friends. We're working together. Sorry about the connection issue. I can connect all of them. and their motives and their reasoning and the laws that they broke in most of these cases. I can't read you the exact number and decimal point of the laws, but I can tell you what the law is about, and you can look it up for yourself. This is Rochelle Shelley Campbell. She's even fake crying in the video. Those of you who have grown up with fake criers, people who are genuine, I want you to watch this video, and I don't know the name of it at the moment, so I'll probably post a clip up in one of the next videos, or maybe in the description here at the bottom. This is Rose himself. I drew this picture of Natalie. Natalie asked me to draw a picture of her, and I did. And I gave it to her to give to her mother as a gift, to say thank you for bringing her into this world. And that is not a joke, and that was in Chesapeake, Virginia. This is kind of ironic that the picture that I drew of Natalie for her mother is the same picture that they put side by side with her. And then because I drew a picture of her that her mother had before I left Virginia, before we ever had any of these issues or problems. Rose knows that. And when these people were putting up all of their hate and slander about how I was drawing these pictures of Natalie, this is my friend Anna Hunka. Anna Hunka is dead. After Natalie died, I was trying to help her. She was trying to get to Boulder with her friend Chelsea. She was in an abusive relationship. And her ex-boyfriend, who had cut her wrist, and mind you, this is all in screenshots and on my Facebook Messenger, so I can always go back to it. She's dead, so she can't erase it. He cut her wrist and told her that if she called the police, that they would think she did it to herself because she had so many cuts on her. You ever wonder what her family did to her to get her those cuts? Her family said that, her friends said that when they went to her funeral, her family, I don't even want to say that, but Christy Monet, she was a lady in Buffalo, Wyoming, who got a hold of Natalie's case, and she was going to help me get a car, and I wasn't really able to drive at that point, but I did have a car of my own, so I didn't need it. And Christy, we tried to get Anna that car. She was on her way to the bus station to get on the bus. She didn't quite make it. Her ex, who had cut her wrist, he gave her a puppy. Oh, you all know that puppy trick. He buys you that puppy dog and you go back because you don't want the dog being stuck with him. So her ex said that he just hit her in the head with something and say she had a seizure. She died after Natalie did, by quite a few months. She died in that man's house after having a seizure. So maybe you might want to show her to the public. Yeah, she's a pretty white girl too, isn't she? Who's going to care about her, though? She was just a street person. Here's Maddie Boa. She's from North Carolina. It's her with the glasses. This is her ex-girlfriend. Her name is Mackenzie Chapman. When girls do mean things, they do mean things as a group. This is how we teach them to do it. We don't teach that group to take a look at the facts first, though. This is your girl. You do what you want. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, you sound like a fucking idiot saying that. It looks even dumber when you type it. Reading off a lot of that stuff that they were typing before Natalie was killed, you get to see how what she had to say, which was a lie, resulted in other people saying a whole bunch of things that she wasn't saying. She was saying the opposite. No, me and her never had a sexual relationship. Ever. It's sad what they did. It's sad what Maddie Boa did, and what Mackenzie Chapman did, and Natalie and her family. And it's sad what I did too. There was a whole bunch of people being mean to each other, but it didn't start off that way. It started off as us being friends and then trying to keep secrets so they wouldn't get in trouble. This is a picture of Natalie from the internet. Despite the shit that Natalie put me through and her friends when she disappeared, I offered every penny that I had to get her safe. The video is still on my Facebook. When I talked to Detective Peterson on the 29th of December 2017, I told him the truth. I told him I would commit felonies to get her safe and keep her safe. I'm going to tell you all the truth now. It wouldn't be the first time. I've committed hundreds of felonies. No, I didn't get busted for them. Most of them anyway. Why did I commit them? Cops wouldn't do their jobs. The victims were scared. Predators were free to do whatever they wanted. Fuck yeah, I committed felonies, but I never killed anybody. And I never went out to actively seek out and hurt these people. I wasn't interested in killing these people. I was interested in helping you get away. When Natalie disappeared, I knew that it was against the law to try to get a hold of her, but I was just trying to let her know to call her mom. I let her know that I was breaking the law to try to get her somewhere safe. I let her know that she could have every single penny that I had. Between her life or paying my bills, fuck my bills, right? Y'all don't get that. Just because she did fucking evil shit doesn't mean I don't love her. Like my mom, she's just a straight up evil person, but it doesn't mean I don't love her. I left my mom's situation because I kept on going back at all these people who couldn't mind their own goddamn business. You know, I won't do this or I won't do that unless you go talk to your mom and try to make amends. My mom will never admit how fucked up of a person that she's been. My mom will continue to be that person if I allow her into my life. This is Alicia Bollinger. She don't look much different from my sister, does she? Different colored hair in this picture. Here's a lady who wants to help me now. And I let her know, hey, before you do that, I want you to know there's gonna possibly be a lot to her that most of these people are white people. Those of you who don't understand how that makes a difference, you don't have to be a black person to go through this shit. You really don't. Most white people have so much bullshit shoved up their ass. They don't really know how to listen. People who have been oppressed know how to listen. In many cases, you're not allowed to speak. I know a lot of women who are very opinionated. I also know a lot of women who never speak because they're not allowed. And they stay in that situation. You ever stop to wonder why these people stay with their predators? Protect their predators. Yeah, sure, he's your predator, but he's still your dad. Yeah, sure. Tim had sex with you when he was a grown adult and you were underage. But he's nicer than most of your other boyfriends, and he has a roof over his head. Whereas most of these other boyfriends that you've had have been homeless because you're attracted to hobos. Most of those guys I know, a lot of her dating list I didn't find out about until I got to Virginia and I went, oh my God. Like, could you have possibly picked the worst set of people to go out with? I mean, really, with the people that she was picking to go out with, the only way that she could have gotten worse than that is if she had dated, well, Adolf Hitler or somebody who was schizophrenic and violent. I know that's a lot of y'all's fear. And when they did all this illegal shit, that's what they tried to portray me as. They went out of their way to manipulate the situation, manipulate the media, and thereby manipulate the public into harming me repeatedly. And I'm the bad guy, right? By charging me with felony assault against a police officer, Waylon Lolatai, who had a very long history just in 2018 assaulting at least 7 individuals. Well, at least 7 individuals on camera. There's the key right there. They're on camera. And are you going to get away? Are you going to get a jury of people who don't understand how truly oppressed they can truly be? Like the Martindales, yeah, they're never going to side with anything to do with Black Lives Matter. Neither one of them has a fucking clue. And none of their kids do either. Rick came from a very well-to-do family. Rick is also very short. He went to the University of Colorado at Boulder. So he's familiar with the Boulder area. He's got his own opinions as a college kid. It isn't that far of a stretch for me to believe that him in his younger days would have gone out with his college buddies, found some homeless person with a big backpack, well, you know, not getting laid, smack that homeless person in the head with a rock with his buddies. Just like what happened to Christopher Weaver. Does that mean that Rick ever actually did anything like that? No. Fuck no. And the only way that he would do it is if there was multiple people. He and Pam met at the Grizzly Rose in Colorado. And that's a country bar. And Pam Martindale is damn near 6 foot tall. Rick Martindale is like 5'4". He ain't that tall at all. She's been working construction most of her life. She could break him in half on accident. Rick would not dare try to attack Pamela Martindale in a million fucking years. She would fucking trash him. But these are also people that don't know what it's like to not have a family. They don't know what it's like to be victimized by the poor because of or to be victimized by the police because of extreme poverty, or to be victimized by the public because of extreme poverty. To live behind a dumpster and hope that no drunk college kids comes over and pisses all over you because they think it's funny. And you can't meet them. You just have to pretend like it's okay. Like Chelsea was talking about, fawn. The fight or flight response, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Oh yeah, dude, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. I probably deserved it. It's my fault for sleeping behind the dumpster. I'm sorry. Yes, a massa. Yes, a massa. You know the routine. So this lady, I'm gonna send her the conversation from YouTube here, from Katie Cahill, and then I'll send her the stuff from Melissa Rainwater, Amanda Jonas, our conversations on here, and then I'll send her the stuff from Miss Peaches, from Aaron Cockerham, from Carl Rogers. See, the problem isn't that I'm not sending this stuff out. The problem is that I get completely overwhelmed and I'm dealing with hundreds of people. Most of you would get overwhelmed just looking at the list of people that I've gone to for help. I mean, the list of people that I wrote down while I was in the Arapahoe County Jail, there's easily 200 or 300 people on the list, even though some of those people's names I wrote down twice. Wasn't sure if I'd put them down or not, and I wasn't going to go back and read through the entire list to see if I had or hadn't. And got more and more lists of witnesses written all over the place. I did have some notebooks. That was Danica Garner's idea for me to keep notebooks. Natalie's other ex-stepmother. So I kept notebooks. And when Lana and Amanda were trying to convince me to leave stuff there, those notebooks, they convinced me to leave there. One of my computers, they convinced me to leave there. All of this I wouldn't take with me because I didn't believe Lana Emily Smith. I'd known Lana too long to do so. I knew something was fucked up, and I was also afraid of the courts doing something fucked up. The only thing that gave me any hope was Amanda. Miss Jerry was going to help, but instead, when she showed up to help, she ended up just hanging out with Lana the whole time. And, of course, telling me what I should be doing. And I was trying to do what they wanted. And then they'd ask a question, and then next thing you know, Lana's going off about earthquakes, and she's got MS, so we all listen to Lana. Although I didn't know it was MS, she had always just described it as having holes in the brain. It's not my fault she described it that way, but when I said that, all of a sudden I'm a terrible person making fun of her disability. I'm sorry, Lana, but that's the only way you ever described it to me. Spots and holes on your brain is how you explained it to me. Now, when I was in Cheyenne, one of the staff members, the halfway house kind of place that I was at, it turns out that she had actually sent me some messages before I ever went there. She sent me some messages right after Natalie disappeared. And she said she was kind of trying to talk to her actually in the facility. I didn't realize it was her. I was talking to her literally about her because this woman also has MS, spots on the brain. And she told me that every one of these people in every one of these places did felonies, that in her profession, Yes, it is against the law for them not to take a report and to not report it. If you're a mandatory reporter and someone comes to you who is disabled about abuse that they're taking, it is against the law for you not to take their report. $850,000. All right, so USA Today wrote that they found 85,000 cops who've been investigated for misconduct. That's 85,000 where people were actually able to get through that far. Those officers were. That means that they were upper echelon. That means that they were middle class at least. When you're poor, that's a lot less likely that they're actually going to actually investigate it. They might pretend to. If you're homeless, they won't even pretend. They'll just victimize you. And if you're poor, getting them to do that is damn near impossible without homelessness. Now, when you figure there's about 750,000 law enforcement officers in America, and you figure that that's all law enforcement officers, and you figure that this is specifically the cops, that would be police officers and sheriff's department. 85,000 out of 750,000. That's over 11% of officers. These numbers do not reflect reality, however, because in most cases of police misconduct, their fellow officers harm the victims for coming forward. It's not a matter of color. That's not to say that color isn't a factor, but it is truly a matter of poverty. Please, those of you with Black Lives Matters, I want to hear you. I do. I want to hear you speaking out about the black homeless people who are killed every day, whose lives and voices are silenced forever because nobody cared. Murdered by police, not just police, but bad laws. That's what I am trying to change. That's why, despite the fact that I am angry about the racism that is coming from Black Lives Matter, the very laws I'm trying to change are the same laws they're trying to change. Those are also the exact same laws the victims of CPS are trying to change. Foster children who are victims are trying to change, and the homeless are trying to change. We the people means we. It doesn't mean everybody owes you. It means we owe each other for our own best interest, regardless of color or gender. The Constitution of the United States, the Second Amendment, is not a hunting law, no matter how much you try to sell that shit. The First Amendment is our freedom of speech and our freedom of religion. The Second Amendment is our right to protect that with our lives, if need. Of course, most of the people who own guns are the people that aren't getting railroaded. The people who have never been in a position where they have to defend themselves against this corruption. Middle class and upper middle class, mostly white people. But there's a lot of poor white people that are not allowed to own a gun because they weren't allowed an honest court date. Our constitutional amendments are much more important than any individual state law. And any law that contradicts the Constitution is null and void. I am fighting for the Constitution for all of us. This is funny. I literally just opened my phone and it says, "Get military recruiters out of low-income high schools." Say it with me. Low income. Federal relief abandoned state workers again. Okay. I guess that's the stuff on YouTube or on Facebook. A lot of times I see a bunch of racist crap from a bunch of people that, well, they've never messaged me a day in their life. And a lot of them, when I message them, "Hey, you sent me a friend request when Natalie was killed." That was 2 years ago. You've never commented. You've never sent me a message. You don't have a reason to be here. And some of them type all sorts of mean shit and then block me. Anyone what? That one, this one is typing. That's the person's tag is typing over here. For you older folks, a tag is like your handle on a CB. I'm sure those of you who don't understand what a tag is will understand what a CB is. Although those of you who don't know what a CB is because you're too young, that's a radio in a truck. You get on that thing, you set the channel, and you see who's out there. You press the little button. Basically, the old radios in police cars. There's a movie called Smokey and the Bandit. You younger folks, you might not get the movie or understand it, but if you watch Smokey and the Bandit, you'll see a lot of things that no longer exist. Phone booths and CB radios and yeah. And cops with a fucking spoon up their ass. I'm gonna make a movie, or not a movie, but a video later on about how Southerners are the most disgusting, deplorable people in the United States. Matter of fact, if this thing will continue running, I'm actually gonna do that. All right, that one, this one, you seem pretty young based on a lot of the stuff that you type. You remember CBs. All right, were you alive in the 1980s? Were you a kid in the 1980s, late 70s? Because if so, I know that you're probably, well, if you're in the United States, or you in the United States, if you're in the United States, you'll remember things like Sesame Street Records and the Sesame Street record player that was multicolored records. They were all colors of the rainbow. And then we had Teddy Ruxpin, who you'd put a tape in his back. Those of you who don't know what a tape is, a lot of you younger folks might not even remember what a